Listen, God will teach you how to do any and everything. Let me tell y'all something. God will teach you how to do any and everything. And I'm so grateful for that. So I was reflecting as I was cooking dinner yesterday. My husband typically does not ask for a specific type of meal. He typically doesn't ask, but he asked. He was like, I ain't gonna lie, I kind of want this, I kind of want that. And I was like, let me be selfless and make what he wants. So as I'm cooking, I began to think, I was like, wow, God, you have really taught me how to be a wife, because there was a time when I would have been like, no, I'm not cooking this, make it yourself, because I'm not doing it. Yes, I know I was terrible. I was that person, like, I'm not doing it. I'm not cooking anything. You figure it out, you do it. That was a time, there was a time when I had just that attitude, and I felt like, if you're not doing what you should be doing, then I shouldn't be doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And this is a bad way to dwell in marriage, because we have to understand that love will not always be reciprocated. And I know that's what we're taught. We're taught, oh yeah, you gotta love, you gotta meet me halfway. You're taught that you gotta show me love before I can show you love. This is a general rule how most of us were raised, or just maybe even habits that we picked up. But this goes against the biblical principle that we're supposed to treat others the way that we want to be treated. This goes against that principle. We're supposed to treat others the way that we're supposed to be treated. And we're supposed to treat our neighbor. We're supposed to love our neighbor the way that we love ourselves. And your spouse is your neighbor. So if you are only doing things because they do things, that's the wrong mindset to have. So yesterday, despite me not really feeling like cooking, despite all of those feelings, I went ahead and cooked, because I know that's one of the things that my husband likes. And I was just sitting there, cooking, and I was just thinking about how God really has instructed me and taught me, and really has counseled me with his loving eye on me. This is Psalms 32:8. And I'm like, wow, God, you really taught me, and you're teaching me how to be an effective wife. We can't look at celebrities on how to be a wife. We can't even look at our loved ones, if I could be honest. We can look and be like, well, we thank God that they got a good marriage. We can bless God for that. But I'm telling you, you're going to have to look at God, and you're going to have to keep him the center, and you're going to have to allow him to counsel you and instruct you and teach you in the way that you need to go when it comes to even being a wife, because God knows what is needed in order to have a healthy marriage. God knows. It's all about if you're willing to be taught. It's all about if you're willing to be instructed. You can't have this mindset where you feel like you're perfect and there's nothing else for you to learn. I've been there too. Like, I had this mindset. I was like, well, I'm like, God, you got to fix him, because if you don't fix him, then our marriage ain't gonna be perfect. And God's like, what about you? Like, you're not perfect. What about you? So we have to have this open mindset to want to be instructed and to want to be taught. So you got to be teachable. This is why God tells us to remain childlike, because children are teachable. They don't have all of that, talk back when it comes to, no, that ain't right. Like, that ain't how you do it. Young children don't have that, but they sit and they listen and they take heed to the instruction that is given. And that is one thing that is needed pertaining to being a wife, pertaining to learning how to have an effective marriage. You have to remain teachable. You have to remain childlike. So you have to allow God to instruct you and teach you in the way that you should go. And you have to understand that God will counsel you with his loving eye on you. So he will counsel you. He will give you the instructions, and he's also looking at you, making sure you're doing what you need to be doing. I thank God for self-help books. I thank God for marital books and all of these topics. I thank God for all of that. But some things, if you would just allow God to teach you, if you would just allow God to teach you, I'm not gonna lie, you could just cut out some time. You really can cut out some time. And I think a lot of times, and I've said this in the past, we don't sit with God enough. And when we don't sit with God enough, we don't allow him to teach us in the manner that we need to be taught. But when you sit with God, he can teach you about every topic. It's crazy. I'm 30 years old, and the things that I have learned pertaining to marriage are things that people still don't know. And I've only read one book about marriage. That's 5 Love Languages. I've read one book about marriage, but I read the Bible, and I stay committed to God, and I stay teachable. And that has taught me how to be a wife. It really has. It really has. It has taught me not looking at everybody else, but literally God. And I really do think we underestimate God. And I do believe God has placed people on this earth to speak. I believe that God has placed people on this earth to counsel. I believe God has placed people on this earth to help you in different dimensions of your life. But I'm saying you can't knock God. That's one of the things that I'm saying. You can't knock God, because he is the ultimate teacher. And so many times we be trying to figure out, where did my marriage go wrong? Where did my relationship go wrong? And we trying to read all these books. We trying to do all of this stuff to figure it out. But if we would just take the time to sit with God and allow him to counsel us and allow him to instruct us and teach us, you will figure out, like, wow. And it's a peace that you will get when you really just allow God to teach you and lead you. Like, I take pride in the fact that all the knowledge, a lot of the knowledge that God has given me, a lot of the knowledge that I have, it has come from God. Straight from the source. Because we know God has different avenues of speaking. We got books, right? We got people. But I enjoy the fact that majority of the knowledge that I possess is through the Spirit of God. It's through me spending time with God. It's through us fellowshipping. It's through us getting to know each other. And it's like, dang, this is crazy. So it is truly a blessing. And I'm encouraging you all to get to know God. And when you truly get to know God, you'll start learning more and more, not only about yourself, but about your spouse and about people around you. You really start seeing people differently. You truly do, because you start to see them the way God sees them. You start to see them the way God sees them. And this is how I'm able to extend grace. This is how I'm able to extend mercy. And it's not through my own works or through my own doing, but it's through the love of God. And I'm encouraging you, in order to distribute that love, in order to treat people the way that you want to be treated, in order to follow these biblical principles in your life, you have to be connected to God first. I couldn't love my husband in the manner that he deserved to be loved without me receiving the love of God first. I couldn't love my children the way that they deserve to be loved without me receiving the love of God first. And there's so many children that feel unloved and they feel so neglected. And it's not because their parents don't love them. It's just because their parents cannot love them in the manner that they need to love them, because they have yet to receive the love of God. When you receive the love of God, you move differently. When you receive the love of God, you do differently. When you receive the love of God, you're able to love at full capacity, not half. And there's so many people that are incapable of loving at full capacity because they don't have the love of Christ. I can give my husband love. I can give him what he wants. And with the possibility that I may not get nothing back. But the more you just do out of the kindness of your heart, I promise you, listen, God will turn your house upside down. There was a time when I felt like I was just giving so much in my marriage and I wasn't getting anything in return. Now I see the reciprocity. Now I see my husband, he will do for me. My husband will just check in on me like, how you need to, he just makes sure I'm good. He'll make sure I'm good. That man, listen, take a break, Shannon. Take a break. I need you to go lay down. I need you to take a nap. Are you all right? Have you rested today? Like, listen, that man look out for me. What do you need? You need this? You need that? But initially, it wasn't always like that. I felt like I was giving, in the beginning stages, I felt like I was just giving and giving. But eventually, he was drawn because of the love of Christ that I possessed, that I was given. And he had no choice but to arise to the occasion. He had no choice but to arise to the occasion because of the love that he was feeling, because of the love that he was receiving. And it wasn't my love, it was God's love. Still making his plate, even though he made me mad. Still washing his clothes, even though he pissed me off. Even though I didn't like what you just said, I'm still going to do, because I'm not responsible for how you treat me. I'm responsible for how I treat you. And when we get this in our mind, I believe marriages will stop dissipating. When we get this in our mind that we are here to serve others and not just be served. When we get this thinking in our mind, when we get the way that Jesus acted, the way that Jesus is, when we get that in our mind, all our relationships will be so much better. Our relationships will be so much better. But we have to get that in our mind. We really do. We have to start thinking about how, listen, they used to say WWJD. What would Jesus do? And we have to really get back to that thinking. What would Jesus do? How would Jesus act? How would Jesus respond in this moment? And I'm telling you, the more like you start thinking about what Jesus would do and start acting out what Jesus would do, your whole life will change. I've been married for 9 years, and I'm so thankful that God has literally transformed my marriage in ways that I can't even imagine. And it started with me. The change you want to see starts with you. The change you want to see starts with you. And God will allow a domino effect to take place in your household when you allow him to change you first. Sometimes we want to see results in other people. We want to see results in our parents. We want to see results in our spouses and our children. We want to see all of these results, but the change you want to see starts with you. So many people, they're just messed up because their children are so disobedient. Their children are rebellious. Their children don't want to have anything to do with them. Their spouse, it seems like they're just more separated than ever. Listen, the change you want to see starts with you. Be committed to the change. Don't just go in and out. Don't just be like, okay, I'm going to show you love today. Then the next day I'm just going to pop off and forget everything that I've been trying to preach to you. Nuh-uh. You got to show people. And people will notice it and they will take note of it. Me and my husband was playing a game, and I had asked him a question. I said, I think it was some type of question. I'm probably going to butcher the way that it's worded, but in a nutshell, it pretty much was, what was one of the things that surprised you about me? What is one of the things that's like surprised you about me? And his response was, in a nutshell, your determination. Like your consistency, like with everything, with me, with your ministry, like your consistency, your determination. You literally will keep going. And when he said that, it literally dawned on me. I'm like, wow, God, I thank you. Because I couldn't be consistent without you. It dawned on me that people watch you. Even though your loved ones don't always say things, we got to understand it takes men a little while. It takes them a little while to get there. But even though they don't always say things, they do appreciate it. You're not going to always get a response that you're doing a good job all the time. You're not going to always get, I admire you. But that does not mean that you're not admired. That does not mean that you're not doing a good job. Sometimes people just watch you and study you just to see if you're going to do what you said you're going to do. Just to see if you're going to remain consistent. Just to see if you're going to keep doing that one too. So I'm encouraging you, wives, to stay encouraged as you go forth showing God to your family. Stay encouraged and understand that the change you want to see, it starts with you. And I promise you, when you allow God to instruct you and teach you and counsel you with his loving eye on you, listen, you ain't got nothing to worry about. You're in good hands. When you allow God to counsel you, you are in good hands. You are in the best of hands, okay? So I love you guys. I will talk to you guys soon. I just had to share some thoughts about this. It was on my heart yesterday, and I didn't get a chance to record. So I decided to do it today. But I love you all so much. Please stay encouraged, stay committed to God, and you can't go wrong. All right. Be blessed.